Okay, we're going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Frazier, Cost, Bub, Blake, and Marmee. First item on the agenda is an ordinance amending ordinances passed on December 3rd, 2018, providing for the issuance of not to exceed $2 million of bond anticipation note in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of Buckeye Corridor stormwater plan improvements, not to exceed $1 million of bond anticipation notes in the anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of water system improvements and declaring an emergency.
There was an interest rate change which causes us to have to redo the legislation. So basically this is the same legislation that was passed back in December. It just has a different rate of interest.
I'll make a motion. Second.
I have a motion by Frazier, second by Bub. Any questions and or discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
What is the interest rate change? From what to what?
It changed from 3%, which I think is just boilerplate language, to the actual rate of 4.25%. It's a little bit higher because there was an interest rate change, and this note is only for a 90-day period rather than 365.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $15,000 for building maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a donation. It came from the Veterans Commission. It's for Section 25 of the Veterans section up at Cedar Hill Cemetery for concrete upgrades. They've been a very, very good partner with the city on continually donating money for upgrades in the Veterans section.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Frazier, second by Cost. Questions and or discussion?
I just have one.
Yes.
What is that group again?
Veterans.
The veteran BFA
It's the Veterans Commission over off
Veterans
Buckeye
Commission.
Avenue.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And the final item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $2,997.76. Director Baum isn't here. This is for a reimbursement of overtime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a reimbursement of overtime they spent on off-site and put it in the right account.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Frazier, second by Bub. Further questions and or discussion?
This is like special duty EMS, football games, stuff like that.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And with that, this Finance Committee meeting stands adjourned. Next up is Service.
All right, we'll call the Service Committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Rath, Cost, Bub, Blake, and Lang. Up first, we'll consider ordinance number 19-01. An ordinance extending the authority of the Temporary Board of Zoning District Revision. Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back in 2009, we did a zoning code overhaul, and out of that, we created a temporary board of zoning appeals. And we still feel as though at this time it's important to have that board in place because people are still coming forward saying, gosh, my property zoning changed a little bit. I'd like to have it go back to what it was, just under a new category. So the Temporary Board of Zoning Appeals makes a recommendation, comes to Planning Commission, and then we vote on it. So it's an essential function that's still needed.
Okay. Can you tell us who's on that board now?
I'd have to look at the group.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the committee?
Motion.
Motion by Bub. Seconded by Cost. Any questions from the audience? Junior?
Mr. Frazier.
Mark Frazier, 20 West North Street, Newark, Ohio. I ask the same question every time. So this is a 2-year term.
2-year term.
To authorize. Is there a need to create a permanent board, or do we feel like after 2 years we'll dissolve it, or are we going to just continue to renew it after the 2-year term?
Well, that's an open-ended question. We'll let you know as we get close to that 2 years. At this point, we feel as though it's fair to just extend it for 2 years.
Okay.
People come up with questions all the time, and whether it needs to be extended or not, I don't know. You got to understand, when the zoning code was updated in 2009, it had been almost 30 years since it had been updated. So,
And then if we didn't have this board, what would the process be?
it'd come through Planning Commission.
For everything. So this
Yep.
is a step before the
Yep.
planning commission
Yep.
to provide a recommendation.
Yep.
Any further questions from the audience? Okay, see no further questions. All those in favor of passing this on to council signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0, I'm sorry. And that concludes the service committee. We will be adjourned. We will reconvene at 7 o'clock for council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.